Two couples land in the same country, in the same month, with almost the same savings. 5 years later, one of them is hosting Sunday lunches on a terrace overlooking the valley, spending less than they did in the States, healthier than they've been in a decade. The other flew home in month 14, $20,000 poorer, marriage strained, telling everyone back home that retiring abroad is a scam. I've been studying stories like these for a long time, and here's what shocked me. The difference between those two couples almost never comes down to money. It comes down to 7 specific behaviors, habits you can copy, starting before you even book a flight. So stick around, because near the end, I'll get to the single biggest difference of all, the one that predicts success or failure before the plane ever leaves the runway. And it's probably not what you think. Welcome back to Passport Retirement, the channel that treats retiring abroad like a decision, not a daydream. If you're new here, we do honest numbers and honest catches, so subscribe if that's useful to you. The usual note, this isn't financial or legal advice, just research and pattern matching from real expat experience. All right. 7 differences between the expats who thrive and the ones who go home broke. Counting down from number 7. Number 7. Thriver's budget in local reality. Quitter's budget in vacation math. Here's what vacation math looks like. You spent 2 glorious weeks in Chiang Mai and averaged $40 a day. So you figure $1,200 a month covers retirement. Except your vacation didn't include health insurance, which at 65 runs $100 to $200 a month. It didn't include visa runs and renewal fees, a few hundred a year. It didn't include the flight home for a wedding, $1,200, or the one for a funeral, another $1,200, because at our age those come too. It didn't include replacing a laptop, a dental crown at $400, or the deposit and furniture for an actual apartment. The Thrivers build a 12-month spreadsheet with every one of those lines, add 15% on top for the things they forgot, and only then decide if a place fits. When they do that, the $1,200 fantasy usually lands somewhere between $1,800 and $2,000. Here's the catch. That number still beats almost anywhere in America by a mile. The honest budget doesn't kill the dream. It's the thing that keeps the dream alive past year 1. Number 6. Thrivers rent for a full year before committing to anything. Quitters commit in week 2. There's a documented pattern real estate agents in expat towns know well. The newcomer high. Everything is charming, everything is cheap, and the brain, drunk on novelty, starts signing things. A year's lease on the fancy villa. A car. Sometimes, heaven help them, a condo purchase in month 1. Then the seasons change, literally. The dry season town turns out to have a burning season. The charming beach town turns out to be dead 6 months a year, or unbearably crowded the other 6. The Thrivers book a modest, furnished place for 1 month, then extend to 3, then to 12, and they treat that first year as reconnaissance. They rent in one neighborhood and shop in 3 others. Total commitment at any moment. 1 month's deposit, maybe $600. The quitters, meanwhile, are trying to break a lease, sell a car, and offload a condo in a market with no buyers. And that's often the $20,000 hole they fly home with. Here's the catch. Renting month to month costs maybe 10% more. It is the cheapest insurance in the entire expat world. Number 5. Thrivers build a local routine in week 1. Quitters wait to feel settled first. This one sounds soft. It is the hard one. The research on expat failure is surprisingly consistent. The number 1 reason retirees abandon a retirement abroad is not money, not healthcare, not crime. It's loneliness. And loneliness doesn't announce itself. It accumulates, quietly, in the gap between waking up with nothing scheduled and going to bed, having spoken to no one. The Thrivers attack that gap immediately. Within the first week, they pick a gym or a morning walking route, 1 market they'll shop every Saturday, and 1 cafe where they order the same thing until the owner starts making it when they walk in. 3 anchors, maybe $30 a month, total. Within 6 weeks, they're greeting people by name, and being greeted, and that turns out to be most of what belonging is. The quitters postpone all of it until they feel settled, and the feeling never comes, because the routine is what produces it, not the other way around. Here's the catch. This takes deliberate effort precisely when you're most tired and most tempted to hide in the apartment with familiar shows. The couples who force themselves out that first week are disproportionately the ones still there in year 5. Number 4. Thrivers learn 100 words of the language. Quitters wait for the town to speak English. Nobody's asking you to become fluent at 65. 100 word. Hello. Thank you, please. Sorry, how much? Too expensive, delicious, beautiful. The numbers 1 through 10. And the names of 20 foods. That's a few weeks of 10 minutes a day on a free app. The return on that investment is wildly out of proportion to the effort. And every long-term expat will tell you the same story. The butcher who starts saving you the good cut. The neighbor who invites you to the birthday party. The visa clerk who has processed 400 impatient foreigners this month, softening when you greet her properly in her own language. One study of expat adjustment found that even minimal host language effort was among the strongest predictors of long-term satisfaction, stronger than income. Not because 100 words let you discuss philosophy, but because they signal respect. And respect is the local currency everywhere on earth. Here's the catch. The embarrassment is real. You will say things wrong and be laughed at, warmly. The quitters find that intolerable and retreat into the expat bubble, where the complaining is in English and the friendships are shallow. The thrivers decide being laughed at is the price of being loved. Number 3. Thrivers keep a financial footprint back home. Quitters burn every bridge. This is the one that literally determines who goes home broke. Because going home broke usually means going home with no infrastructure. The thrivers keep a US bank account and at least one credit card active, small recurring charge, autopay, done. So their credit history stays alive. They keep a US address through a family member or a mail service, about $15 a month. They make the Medicare decision at 65 deliberately, understanding that Part A is usually free, and skipping Part B entirely means lifetime penalties of 10% per year if they ever move back, a choice that deserves an hour with a professional, not a shrug. The quitters close everything in a blaze of freedom. Then, in year 3, when a health scare or a family crisis pulls them home, they discover they can't rent an apartment without a credit score, can't get a card, face Medicare penalties, and are starting over at 70 like a new immigrant in their own country. Here's the catch. Maintaining the footprint costs maybe $300 a year and a little paperwork. It feels pointless right up until the day it's priceless. Keep the escape hatch oiled even if you never plan to use it. Number 2. Thrivers have a healthcare plan. Quitters have healthcare hope. Hope sounds like this. Healthcare's cheap there. We'll figure it out. And to be fair, the cash prices are real. $20 doctor visits, $400 crowns, hospital days at a tenth of US prices. But cheap care is not the same as a plan, and the difference shows up exactly once, catastrophically. The thrivers do 4 things before they need any of them. They buy international or local health insurance while they're young enough to qualify. Ideally before 70, because after that the doors start closing, and premiums for a healthy 65-year-old run roughly $100 to $250 a month. They add medical evacuation coverage, about $300 to $500 a year, because the difference between the local clinic and the international hospital in the capital can be a 200-mile flight. They physically visit the best hospital within an hour of home before ever getting sick, and they keep a dedicated emergency fund, $10,000 to $30,000, that is never ever touched for anything else. The quitters self-insure by accident, do fine for 3 years of checkups, then meet a heart attack or a hip replacement with no coverage, drain the savings, and fly home to start over broke. Here's the catch. None of this is fun to arrange, and the insurance may feel like money wasted for years. That's what insurance is supposed to feel like. And number 1, the biggest difference of all, thrivers move towards something, quitters move away from something. Here's the pattern behind the pattern, the one that predicts the outcome before the plane leaves the runway. And it's the payoff I promised you at the start. Ask a future expat why they're going, and listen carefully to the grammar. Some people are running from things. From the politics, from the prices, from the winter, from a divorce, from a life that stopped fitting. And here's the brutal truth about running away. Problems are excellent travelers. The anxiety, the loneliness, the marriage trouble, they all fit neatly in the carry-on. And they're waiting on the other side, now with a language barrier and no support network. The people who go home broke and bitter are overwhelmingly the ones who arrived angry at somewhere else. The thrivers are running toward things, and they can name them. Toward learning to sail at 68, toward volunteering at the school, toward the garden they finally have time for, toward Spanish, toward grandkids visiting somewhere magical every summer. Same beaches, same budgets, completely different retirements, because a life needs a pull, not just a push. Here's the catch, and it's a question, not a number. If you can't finish the sentence, I'm moving abroad so that I can finally, with something concrete, you're not ready to book the flight. Finish the sentence first. Everything else on this list is just logistics. So that's the real dividing line. Spreadsheets over vacation math, a year of renting before committing, routines in week 1, 100 words of respect, a footprint back home, a healthcare plan instead of a healthcare prayer, and above all, moving toward a life instead of away from one. Notice what's not on that list. Being rich, The thriving expats and the broke ones started with nearly identical bank accounts. They just made different choices. And every single one of those choices is still available to you. So here's my question for the comments. Which side of one of these 7 lines are you currently standing on? And which one are you going to fix first? Be honest, because the answers help everyone reading them. If this episode earned it, subscribe and turn on notifications. And if you want the unvarnished version of what life abroad actually feels like, go watch our episode Brutally Honest Truths About Retiring Abroad next. It's the perfect companion to this one. Until then, I'm off to finish my own sentence. See you in the next one.